What happened to it? It didn't play. I don't know where did it go? Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay. Yeah, my light's not working. What happened? Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Heart Matters show on Awesome God Radio. This is your host, Pastor Barris, and I am truly happy to be back with you one more again. It's so nice to be in a blessed place, and I say in a blessed place because so much is going on. And as we were sharing this week in Bible study, is that we just have so much to be thankful for. So I just thank God for all that He is doing in this season, for His many blessings upon me, and many blessings upon His people. Where would we be without the goodness of the Lord? I thank God for each of you. As you know, I was away a couple of weeks dealing with life. And when life happens, you have to do what life requires. And so I thank God that I'm able to be back with you on this week. And as I was dealing with some challenges that I was facing, sometimes we have to remember that we can't be all things to all people. Hello, somebody. And so something dawned on me was the fact that there are a lot of people that do things to try to please other people. And it caused me to put up a post that said, your assignment is not to please people. Are you a people pleaser? And as I put that out there, I started receiving some responses, and I was really excited. And so I asked if anyone would want to share be on the show with me, and my good friend who now I'm a partner with in this anthology entitled Let the Daughters Arise, none other than Tanya Young, who decided that she wanted to be on the show with me so that we can have a conversation about this. We are not subject matter experts tonight, but we're going to talk about what we know on the subject, because if I'm dealing with something, I'm pretty sure somebody else may be dealing with the same thing. So, good evening, Tanya. Welcome to Heart Matters this evening. How are you?
I am wonderful. Good evening, and I am excited to be here to engage in this dialogue with you.
Thank you so much. That is just so awesome. I'm just glad that you said yes. I got really tickled, like, oh, yes, somebody said yes, they want to do it with me. Because it's nicer, it's okay when you're just talking, but it makes it nicer when you're having a conversation with somebody. Yes. And this subject came up. It did because sometimes if you're not careful, you will find yourself doing things that you don't really want to do, but you don't want to disappoint somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to really be careful. And I found that was happening in a couple of situations, and I had to stop myself and wait a minute. If it's not my assignment, I don't have to be responsible for doing it just to please somebody else. And, sometimes when we go through things, we have to be true with ourselves. Um, because, we can look at it and say, oh, that'll never happen to me. But it's like, wait a minute, that might happen to you from one time or another. So what I did was, as I was reading Psychology Today, it was talking about some traits or characteristics or signs of people that are people pleasers. But before I want to go into that, I just want to ask you, Tanya, have you had any experience as with being a people pleaser, or do you know someone that has been a people pleaser? That expression on your face says it all.
Pastor Barris, I can hold up a sign. Okay. I could hold up a sign. I would say that the majority of my life, I've been a people pleaser, and it took a lot of work and intentional, I would say intentional action upon my part to really, really move away from that or transition from that, I would say. I'm an introvert, and as a child, when we look at ourselves as children, a lot of times we don't, especially baby boomers, as children, we didn't really have much of a voice.
Right.
And our parents didn't come with manuals. So in my experience as an only child, I got praised a lot for what I did. And so we become this person who looks for that validation in our performance, in our behavior. I was what my mom would say, she's a good girl. I got really good grades. I was extremely shy. She enrolled me in activities to enhance or kind of help me with that shyness and become more social. I took dance class. I was a model. And it was always about what I did. So I was validated in my behavior and what I did, not who I was. So I believe in my experience that being a people pleaser came from really not knowing who I was. So we talk about self-esteem and we talk about self-awareness. And a lot of times when you're raised in validating what someone does, and you're rewarded for that, and that love, the action of love comes into play, and rewards you for what you do and not who you are, especially being an introvert, you really don't know who you are. So you grow up in that vein of pleasing people and really seeking that validation of love because you don't know who you are.
That is a very, very good point, because like I said, sometimes people don't realize that they are people pleasers, but they've gotten used to that validation. They've gotten used to the good girl. She's a good girl. I think back to elementary school when we got report cards. There was writing on the report card of what the teacher said about you. And I took that to heart. Like, I wanted to make sure that, she does this right. She does this. And so that became important to me. And so I always felt like I wanted people to be pleased with me. I wanted people to like me. I didn't want to do anything bad, to mess that up. And I like what you said when you said that people know you not for who you are, but because of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, oh my gosh, Jesus, that is just really, really something. And I don't want people to think that we're speaking of this negatively. Of course, we want to please people. It's not about that. It's not about being negative, but it's about understanding some of the things that we experience, that we have to build up mental strength in learning how to say no, learning that it's okay if we can't do a particular thing. So what I wanted to do is I just want to share a couple of traits of people pleasers, and then we'll continue to talk. Number one, you pretend to agree with everyone. You don't want to make no waves. You don't want to voice your opinion. So you say, oh, yeah, I'll go along with that. Oh, we're going to eat so and so today. Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's not what you really want, but you don't want to make no waves. And it says listening politely to other people's opinions, even when you disagree, is a good social skill, but pretending to agree just because you want to be liked can cause you to engage in behavior that goes against your values. And I think, like with you, Tanya, you saying that being an introvert, that's like really bad, because you don't want to, you just want to stay in your little shell. You don't want to come out, make no waves or anything like that. So you just want to just go along with whatever the program is. You just become a part of the crowd, so to speak. You don't stand out or anything. Pastor Wanda Prelo says you lose your voice when you're a people pleaser. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Yes,
you
you
definitely use your voice.
Yes, you do.
And then
it's called non-confrontational. You say you're non-confrontational.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But then you might be boiling down on the inside of you, and you like, but you just going to keep it quiet. And it's really sad, because one of the things that I also learned when I was studying about this was that you could experience some type of trauma in your childhood that caused you to, say, for instance, a person that has been abused as a child. They take on ownership of the abuse. And so their way of dealing with it is they feel that they're a bad person. So they please people so that people will think that they're a good person.
Absolutely.
And not just a bad person. And when I saw that, I was like, that is. And so we have to be careful with our young women to help them to realize, not just young women, but anybody that's been through anything like that, no, it wasn't your fault, and you don't have to take that on, as something that you experienced, but it's not your job to make people be pleased with you. You just want to, you don't want to do that. Then another one says you're responsible for how other people feel. It's healthy to recognize how your behavior influences others, but thinking you have the power to make someone happy is a problem. It's up to each individual to be in charge of their emotions. Wow, that's definitely true. That could be a problem, couldn't it? I mean, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You can say something.
Yes, I was going to say that's a big one, because for me, in my experience, once I intentionally noted where I was, that self-awareness, that was the first step for me, self-awareness. And then really looking at taking care of me. And because for years I worked on this, some people don't understand the new me or the intentional me. They're not used to me saying no. They're not used to me disagreeing respectfully. I found my voice. So some people are struggling with that. And I just wanted to make a comment on the trauma. When you're people pleasers, that can really develop into trauma in itself, because you're holding stuff in, you're not releasing it, you're not using your voice. That can turn into health issues, anxiety. A lot of psychological things occur when you're a people pleaser and you don't have your voice. And I believe I've come through some of those things. I've experienced some of those things, and I've been in the church all my life. I got saved when I was 12, and so people tend to even in the church realm, you look at scripture, you stand on the word, and you pray, but we are complex individuals, and of
Yeah.
course we're going to stand on the word, of course we're
Yeah.
going to pray, but we are complex, we're social, we're emotional, we're psychological, we're spiritual, we have a humanistic body, so
Mhm.
we may have to reach out. You're getting this information from Psychology Today. We may have to reach out to someone and get help with that. We have to learn about ourselves. I mean, I've taken many workshops on self-development and professional development, and just taking all of that in and really intentionally growing myself. It takes a lot. Sometimes you have to go outside of the church to grow.
Right.
And so that the trauma is a huge piece
Yeah.
in not having a voice, because you really implode, and
Yeah.
it could just be very damaging to a person.
And the thing about it is, it could be one incident that occurred with one person, but now you've developed this internal dilemma where, regardless of who you go around, it's still there.
Yes.
And you haven't dealt with it, and so it keeps you from really interacting with other people in different relationships and things, because you want to be liked, you want people to say, not, you want to get that I did that good kind of thing, so that really presents like a lot of problems in people. And I think that with all that we have been through, like through this pandemic and everything, there have been a lot of psychological issues that have arose, that have come about, because when you're working and doing and going and coming and all of that, you don't have time to think about yourself. But this pandemic caused us to have to sit back and take a look at ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and like, wait a minute, maybe I am doing some things a little wrong here, or maybe I need some help, as you were saying. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times when people come to me for counseling, that's one of the issues that we always have to deal with, is they want everybody to like them. They want people to please them. Another trait for people pleasers is you apologize often. Whether you excessively blame yourself or you fear other people are always blaming you, frequent apologies can be a sign of a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be sorry for being you. That's a whole
nother show.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because it's like we are individuals. I can remember once I became an adult, my older sister, I would talk to her about things I would want to do, and she said, well, go ahead and do it. And I say, I can't do that. Mama would have a fit if she found out and she would tell me, she said, you're a grown woman. You don't have to do everything Mama said. And I was like, no, but I can't. But it took me the longest time to realize that I could make some decisions for myself. I could think for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody may not be pleased with the decisions that you make for yourself, but you can do it. And so I think what I've seen is people become stuck in certain areas because they're afraid of what somebody might say if they did a particular thing, so they wind up apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, you do not have to apologize for who you are. God created all of us as individuals, and we're unique. No people are exactly alike. And I think the problem comes when we try to put ourselves in this box, so to speak, and not allow ourselves to just be who God intended us to be,
That's right.
Definitely, so it's like learning to deal with that. It becomes a problem because we 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 haven't learned in situations like that. We haven't learned how to make a decision about certain things so that we don't have to apologize to somebody else. You know, it's like, why am I apologizing for who I am? I'm just,
Right.
you know, yes. You are in charge of how you spend your time. But if you're a people pleaser, there's a good chance your schedule is filled with activities that you think other people want you to do. What do you say about that one, Tanya?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And my intentional self at 62 years old, people don't understand when you say, no, I'm not going to be able to do that, because for years I would cram stuff into my schedule. I have family on the West Coast. My grandchildren are on the East Coast. I'm in the Midwest. I have a daughter in Georgia. And when I come to Baltimore, I'm coming for the sake of holding those grandbabies.
Yeah.
And I have some people that get quite upset with me when I said, well, on this trip, I may not be able to meet with you. Or on this trip, I may not be able to, have dinner with you. Or, the grandkids and the kids have all this stuff planned. And I'm real excited about spending time with them. And I literally have people that are quite upset because I have not been able to meet their schedule. Because when I first moved to the Midwest, I would come home and literally try to see everybody. I'd be exhausted,
Yes.
when I got home. And, through that self-awareness and taking care of me, I can't do that. I can't do it. And so, yeah, I've lost a few friends along the way, because they're feeling something, they're feeling some kind of way about that. And I've apologized. There we go with the apologies. But, my intention and use of my time is what it is. And it's for me. Sometimes it has to be for me.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's something that we struggle with. One of the things that I learned from my son and daughter. My son lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. My daughter is here with me. But whenever my mother used to ask me to do something, I don't care what it was, I did it. I don't care what I had to move to do it, I would do it.
Yep.
But my son and daughter taught me something because I would say, I need to do such and such and such and such. And they would say, well, Ma, I'm not going to be able to do that on such day. They would just come back. I would be like, at first I'd get upset, like, how dare you tell me that you can't? Mama would smack me silly if I told her. But it taught me to respect their time.
Exactly.
Because they both have families, they both work, they have obligations and responsibilities. So who am I to just say because I'm your mother that I'm supposed to, So they would say it to me nicely, but
Yes.
I began to understand, and it really helped in our relationship so that if there was something, I would say, I'm thinking about doing such and such, or I may need some help with such and such. How's your schedule looking next week, or something like that? And, that made it better for them. But in the beginning, I was like, how dare you? You can't you can't say that to me, because I'm a people.
Us baby boomers.
I don't say no. I just do.
Yes.
Yes.
We learn a lot from our kids. I've
Yes.
learned that also. They have lives. They have schedules. And, I used to feel some kind of way when I said, I want to do this. And they're like, well, I can't do it. Another huge thing that I've learned from my son, my middle son who has kids, I watch them with their kids, and their kids have a voice. They have a voice. They're teaching them to be respectful, but they ask their opinions. Going back to the validation, they let them know that they love them every day. Even when they're in trouble, they tell them that they love them. So I really enjoy seeing how they're building up the self-esteem of their children, Because when I went through that, a child of the 50s and 60s, it was a little different then. It was a little different then. And like I said, my experience, my mom, I knew she loved me. There was there was no doubt in my mind that she loved me. And she worked really hard. I was an only child. She was a widow. She was widowed when I was age 5. So she worked really hard. But the validations, I spent a lot of times with extended family, my grandparents, my aunts, and the validation came from what I did, not who I was. And being an introvert, it took a long time for me to figure out who I was, who I am.
That identity.
And who I'm continuing to evolve to be,
Isn't it something? And the good thing about it, though, is that there is that time that comes where you begin to evolve. And it's not about a special age that you have to be, and everybody may not like it when you start evolving, especially if they're used to you being a certain way, and now you're doing some things and saying, no, I don't think I want to go this time. You don't want to go. We always go. We always, and making those decisions for yourself. And I think it's so what's the word I want to use? It's so healthy. It's like a release. It's
healthy.
Being able to it's a freeing.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's a sense of freedom that you're not bound, that you're not locked into this. I gotta do what everybody tells me to do, which leads me to the next thing that says you feel uncomfortable if someone is angry at you. So it's like that's a big one.
It's a big one.
A big one.
That's a big one.
I don't want anybody to be.
You don't want anybody to be mad at you.
Isn't it something though? It's like one of my sisters. We have my older sister. She has a thing. She has a saying. Whenever she get ready to say something, and we've all adopted it, she say, "I'm saying this in love." She always say that, and so we all, it's like when you want to be mad, you're like, "I'm saying this in love," but it's like we worry about what other people think. I know that I do. It's like I worry. I don't want anybody to be upset with me. I don't want to feel like I hurt somebody's feelings. But I think what happens is if we communicate it right, we don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely.
Because the ownership is not on us. You know what I mean? Like if somebody gets upset, if I'm being truthful, they get angry, I don't have to eat that. I don't have to try to, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, for years, I did not want to be offensive. I didn't want to offend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings. And, that's very internally, it's like you're walking around on eggshells.
Yes.
Who can live like that? Your body's tensed. I mean, the health issues that can develop from that, are just a lot of things can develop from that. And so I think being honest and transparent and being truthful about a situation and communicating it well is just key. It's real important.
Yes, definitely. I can remember I retired from the federal government as Social Security, and I was a manager, the upper level manager. And in the beginning, it was so difficult for me because I had to do things. I had to make decisions. I had to have these crucial conversations with people. And I would be worried about, I would go home that night and like, I really feel bad, And then when I had to fire somebody, it was like I was walking one guy out of the building. I had to escort him out because we had, told him that his employment had ended. And we're going out, we're going down the escalator, and I'm like, I'm really sorry about this. I'm really sorry. What are you going to do? He looked at me. He said, Miss Deborah, it's not your problem. You didn't do this. I did this to myself. But I was so I didn't want him
Mhm.
to be upset with me because I
Mhm.
had to let him go. So, like you said, having those conversations, are really, really important.
Yes.
One of the things that you mentioned in the beginning is people pleasers love validation. And
Yes.
so one of the traits is you need praise to feel good.
Mhm.
You need to hear those affirmations and things. And when people don't say those things to you, you
Mhm.
know, you in other words, you do them waiting for a response.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm. And even as children, we can be conditioned for that. I had a long conversation with my oldest son, and it was a very emotional, intimate conversation. And, he said in that conversation, I want to be loved for who I am, not for what I do. And we continue to talk about that, and we have to really understand that. I'm an educator at heart, so I look at children and the way we validate children. Report cards are validation, assessments are validation, performance is a validation, and even educators are, rewarded for their performance. But the humanistic side of that is we need to be validated, or not even validated, but just accepted for who we are.
Yeah, definitely. And not, I because I go back to the report cards in elementary school and the things that the teachers wrote. I
Mhm.
would always get so excited about those things. Or when my mother would come to the school and the teachers would say, Deborah did this and Deborah did that, I would always look for those things. So as an adult, I continued to look for those same things.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
sometimes people didn't say those things because
That's right.
if I was at work and it was my job, don't look for somebody to tell you, give you an attaboy, you're doing your job.
You're doing
And
your
so
job.
if you're not careful, you're like, so then you'll try to do things because you want to hear that praise. You want to hear people say those things to you. And it just goes back to what you keep saying. Love me for who I am, not what I do, you
And
know.
then it goes even deeper than that. You have to love yourself. You have to know who you
Yes.
are, and you have to love yourself. You know,
Yes.
for years I would pull those power scriptures about who God says I am. But it takes some work on your part. You can quote those scriptures over and over and over again. You can pray and ask God to help you with your self-esteem, your self-awareness. But there's some work that has to go in there. You have to do the work. It's just like diet and exercise. You have to do some things to really get to know yourself. That prayer, but meditation with it. Getting to know who you are. And like you said, this pandemic, some of us were isolated, and we had to get to know
Totally.
ourselves.
Yes.
We had to get to
Totally.
know ourselves.
Totally. Yes.
And some of us got to know ourselves from being in the house with another person 24/7. We really got to know who we were, who we are, and they got to know who we are.
Yeah.
So it just takes, you have to do the work. You have to get to know yourself. You have to
Exactly.
get to know who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly about yourself. And I think the work comes in when you look at those things about yourself that you can improve. Not just wait on God to improve those things, but do the work and improve those things. And if you need help in improving those things, you go get the help.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely. Because a lot of times we may look at it as something temporary. Oh, it'll just go away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only going to keep coming back. It's only
That's
going to
right.
keep coming back. And a lot of times we don't look at it to be as serious as it is.
Right.
We kind of shuck it off.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, when I noticed that some things this week, and I was like, wait a minute, am I doing this because I really want to do it? Or am I doing this to, I just want praise from people to be pleased. I don't want nobody to be angry. I don't, you know, it's like when you start feeling those things, that you have to address some things,
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem with sitting on somebody's couch. You know, I have no
Me
problem.
either.
Not at all. It's a good thing. It is. Like
Therapy is good.
therapist need a therapist, you know. I was like, no, I got to go talk to somebody about this.
Yes.
Because I always say God wants us happy, healthy, and holy.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
And
does.
the things that he can do for us, okay, all well and good. He will do those things for us. But there are some things that we have to do for ourselves. And a lot of times we, you know, like you just said, becoming who God desires you to be is work.
It's work. We don't want to do the work. You know, he is faithful. He's going to do everything he says he's going to do for us. But we're just not a lump sitting on a log. There's some things that we have to do. And being a people pleaser, you know, even in any relationship, whether it's with a spouse, your children, a girlfriend, a sister, you internalize some things and they develop into health issues.
Yes.
You know, unhappy people become unhealthy people. And so, you know, you're trying to be this person that your friend wants you to be, or you're trying to be this person that your spouse wants you to be. You're trying to be this person that your pastor wants you to be, and you don't even really know who you are. And so because you're not really operating in who God designed you to be, that stuff builds up and comes out in other ways.
Exactly. And you know, it's something how we take on this different persona. We become this person who we don't even know.
We don't even know who we are.
We don't even know who we are. We're just existing. We're just trying to fit into this mold, be accepted, you know. And God is saying, I didn't call you to be accepted into a mold. I didn't call you. I called you to be unique. I called you to be different. I called you to stand out, you know. But because we had become accustomed, because a lot of it has to do with our upbringing and how we were brought up, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's like we carry that into adulthood, lose focus. And you know, I remember when I first got married, my husband would be like, just be who you are. What do you mean, just be who I am? I am who I am. He said, you know, because there were periods where I felt like I had to do things to push the envelope, so to speak, so the people would like me.
Exactly.
And one day I discovered I'm okay with me.
Yes.
If people are going to like me, they're going to like me. If they don't want to like me, they don't have to. I'm okay with either one. The thing is, I have to accept me for who I am.
Exactly. You have to love yourself. You have to love yourself and know who you are. And getting to know yourself allows you to love yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. One example that I have that is so funny to me, the Coming to America movie, 1 and 2. Okay, so you had this princess who they were, you know, going to marry with the prince. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And she's like, whatever you want to do. And I had to really laugh because I used to do that. With simple things like, what do you want to eat? Where do you want to go eat? Well, where do you want to go eat? What do you have a taste for? Well, what do you have a taste for? And when I see that movie, when I see that scene, I just fall out laughing because I'm like, oh my God, that was me. You know, I couldn't even pick what I wanted to eat. You know, what do you want to eat? And so we do that. We do those kinds of things in small ways and even in bigger ways, you know. And when I was married, my first marriage, married for years, I didn't even pick up my own car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, just being that person that somebody else wanted you to be because you don't know who you are.
Right.
You have to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you need to get to know who you are. And you don't have to apologize for being who you are. And gently communicate with people so that they come along with you as you evolve into the person that you are. When you know yourself, you are so happy. You are so happy. I've been evolving, I would say, probably for the last maybe 15 years, really just being in these different places. And I used to reflect on college, and college was like the best time of my life. I thought it was. But these last 10 years in evolving, like now, the person that I am, because I know who I am so happy. It's like, I have never felt like this before. And I think back, I still reflect on, on the person that I didn't know. I didn't know Tanya. I really didn't know her. And so I've evolved into, and I'm still evolving, and it's just so exciting. And I'm the happiest that I've been like in a long time. I'm really happy. And
Okay.
I'm excited about where me and God are going right now. I'm real excited about it.
So
I
let
am
me ask
so
you this.
excited.
You said it happened about 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think triggered it?
Well, I believe I was in what I thought was a really happy place. I had remarried, we started a ministry, and then the trauma of losing him put me in a place. It knocked me down. It knocked me down. And I was in a place where I really had to depend on God. And just like the pandemic, it was in isolation. I had people reaching out to help me, but I was in an isolation. And I think the trauma of that and being isolated, I had to look in the mirror. I had to face myself. And I had to say, okay, what are you going to do now? I felt that I was coming out of that people pleaser with him because I could really be myself with him. But it was just starting. That was like the tip of the iceberg for me. And so over these years, I've really started taking a look at myself, looking at not only professional development as an educator, but self-development, and connecting with groups that could help me as I was building myself up, getting the help for the trauma and understanding what was going on inside of me internally. And so I've been doing the work. I've been doing the work, and God is just peeling back stuff. He's just peeling back, peeling back, peeling back. And this Tanya that I am today, I'm just, people don't, some people are they're really seeing it and they're really excited about it. Some people don't understand it and they're upset because I'm not making them happy anymore because I'm making me. It's about me. It's about people too, but it's about me. So it just took some work, and I got the help I needed. I was able to face some things. I was able to recognize health wise what it was doing to my body, what it was doing to me psychologically. Therapy was a must. And I started taking things off my plate. I was walking sideways because my plate was so full and people were still putting stuff on my plate. And I started, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. God, what do you want me to do? Yeah. Okay, I need to take care of myself. I'm not going to do that. And so he's still peeling back. He's still peeling back layers, and I'm still evolving.
Oh gosh, it brings tears to my eyes.
It's just been a wonderful journey. I'm telling you.
That is just so beautiful. Came out of
trauma and a lot of sorrow, but a lot of grief. But like I said, I did the work, and it was about me doing the work and getting the help that I needed. And even in the process of getting the help that I needed, I was able to give back little nuggets. I wasn't even there, but God created opportunities for me to see, look, you're taking some baby steps here.
Mm-hmm.
So he just created those opportunities and he created those relationships and just opened some doors that helped me, that helped me along the way, you know, to start the work, to really dig into the work with my self development. And even at this age, I am still evolving. And I'm excited about where he's taking me.
And you should be.
Mm-hmm.
You should
I
be.
am. I am.
You should be. I think one of the greatest things that um, help us helps us on the journey, um, freeing us from being a people pleaser, is falling in love with yourself.
You have to.
Falling in
You
love
have
with
to.
yourself, because when you fall in love with you, the other stuff doesn't matter,
Doesn't matter.
because you learn how to put you first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like when you get on the airplane,
There
what do
you
they tell you? Put the mask on yourself
go
first.
first.
In
Mm-hmm.
emergency. And
Right.
so it's like you can't be of any good to anybody else until you take care of yourself.
Yourself.
But
That's
I
right.
think because of so many things in life, the focus has always been on caring for other people.
Absolutely.
And we grew up with that, and so it's like your focus is on taking care of other people, but then you have to step back and say, wait a minute, what about me?
What about
Because
me?
you can be spending so much time taking care of other people and dying on the inside.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dying on the inside,
Yep.
because it's like you're doing it, but there's no joy for
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. You're pleasing this person and you're pleasing that one. Like you said, your plate was so full you were walking sideways.
Exactly.
Just understanding that. And I don't know where we got to the point where we felt like we were supposed to be all things to all people, because that's not something that God told us, but it's something that we took on. I think sometimes even in building our relationship with Christ, we
Mm-hmm.
we are excited, we are gun ho, and we want to see the joy in people. And if we're not careful, we'll lose sight of ourselves and trying to
Absolutely.
make other people become Jesus,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
And in doing that, it's like we start falling apart. We
Mm-hmm.
start dwindling away. And like, you know, um, like when they said, "Can any good thing come out of Nazareth?" I say, "Can any good thing come out of this pandemic?"
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Lots of
Because
good things are coming out of this pandemic. Lots
yes,
of good things.
because there's
It's
so many that it has taught us. You got to take some time for yourself. You got to
mm-hmm.
dig into yourself. You got to figure out why you act this way, or why you always do this particular thing, or
Mm-hmm.
why did this person get under your skin the way that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why is it that you can't say no? And some people say, well, it's easy to say no. No, it's not. I don't want to just put that out there that it's just easy to say no. It's
Right.
something that you have to progress to.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that you just automatically, I don't worry about what people say. No, if you're a child of God, you do worry
You
about
do
what
worry. Mm-hmm. You do
you
worry.
are concerned,
But if
but
you're being true to yourself,
yes.
it goes back to what you said about apologizing. If you're being true, really true to yourself, then yeah, you're going to be concerned maybe, but not worried about what other people say and what other people think. A huge thing that has come out of this pandemic is time, because many of us have lost loved ones. I've
Right,
lost a couple of loved ones because of COVID.
right.
And we have to think about, what are we doing with our time?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
and I'm talking about day to day. What are we doing with our time day to day? One thing
Right.
that I do, one thing that I've evolved into, when I was little, I used to dance all the time. I was an only child. I used to dance in my room, and my mom sent me to dance class. She enrolled me in a lot of things to get that socialization because she knew I was just so shy. I mean, I was just really shy. I
Yeah.
danced. I had dance class. I took dancing until I was in college. I modeled when I was a teenager up through college. And so the social thing kind of came along with that, but I was still uncomfortable in those spaces, very uncomfortable in those spaces. I would have never reached out to you 15 years ago to be on a talk radio show with you. I would not have done that. Oh, I'll peek in and see what they're talking about, because I wanted to be in the background. I was in a ministry in Baltimore, and I worked with their fine arts department, and was glad, they're like, we need somebody to do, our praise garments. I'll take them. I would do the tech rehearsals, the tech check, and, look at the technique. I would give pointers for technique because I was trained in dance. But when it was time to be, I was always in the background, this background person. And God, when I look back, because I reflect every day, he was strategically pushing me up front because he knew what today was going to look like. Like I said, he's going to do what he's going to do. We have to do our part. And I said, boy, what if I would have did what I did 20 years ago instead of 10 years ago? Ooh. Where would I be today? Where would I be today? Wow. So it's still going to happen. We still have to do the work. And if we're in tune with him at all, we're going to do the work. But sometimes we just drag it out. We just drag it out because we're not obedient. We don't have the confidence to do it because of our experience. We may be stuck. And I would encourage anybody that's listening that has identified with anything that we're talking about, start with yourself. And if you need to get some help, it's okay. We in the Black community have a hard time going to a therapist.
Definitely.
We do. It's something taboo about that, especially if you're a faith-based leader, you're supposed to be strong. Okay. We are, but there are some times when we're weak. Iron sharpens iron. We may need a physician. We go to the doctor if we break a leg. We go to the emergency room. If we have anything physically going on in our body, we will go see a professional for that. But if we're psychologically battling with some things, we want to make we want to go to the altar with that. Sometimes you have to get a professional. They are anointed to help us with things like that. They really are.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that too, because a lot of times people are afraid to make a move until they hear somebody else say something about it. So with you expressing that this evening about, our body gives us warning signs when something is not right. Absolutely. God created us with some beautiful bodies. And so we have to listen to those warning signs. And because when you're focused on pleasing people, it's just so unhealthy for you, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's really unhealthy. And so we have to learn to look at those things that cause us to act a certain way so that we don't, just shuck it off. Because like I said, for me, I'm thinking I'm good and I see some things happening and I'm like, wait a minute, there's something else I need to check. One of the other things I want to say is that it is so easy to take care of other people.
Very much so.
But when it comes time for us to take care of us, we don't want to do the work. We don't want to put in the work because it is work.
It's work.
It is looking, it is facing yourself in that mirror and looking at some things that you may not want to see or remembering some things that you may not want to see, to deal with yourself. But the outcome is always great. The outcome is just overwhelming. And just to hear you share your story of how God is evolving you to become I'm not going to say the new you, I'm going to say the real you.
The real you. The real you.
It's not the new you. It's the real you.
Right.
And to hear that is just so beautiful because I just think of all of the women that I talk to who are bound, who are locked into places where they don't want to be for
Mhm.
fear of making a wave, for fear of rejection, or fear of somebody's not going to like their response, or fear. I'm here to let you know tonight, you do not have to be afraid. God
Mhm.
is with you. He is for you. He
Mhm.
will stand by you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. If you are feeling that way, there is help out there available to you.
Yes.
Never feel that you can't get some help for it, because we need to build our mental stamina. We've got to constantly work on our mental health. It's
Absolutely.
not something that we just do one time for one particular thing.
Right.
It's like we start breaking up that fallow ground and we start dealing with all of those issues that we have on the inside of us, because God wants to make us better.
He
Because
does.
when we're better, we can help more people. But
Yes.
broken people can't fix broken
Broken
people.
people
Jesus,
can't fix broken people. I'm
Jesus.
so excited about this thing. I retired as a principal last year, but I'm currently enrolled in a doctoral program for Christian counseling because I want to help people. I mean, I'm really excited about this. And I had some relatives like, you retired, you don't have to go back to school. But I just felt led to do it. I felt led to do it. And I'm just really excited about what I'm learning. I'm excited to be able to assist and help people in the areas that I've come through. And the great thing about it is I've experienced these things. So coming from a biblical standpoint, but also coming from a
Yes,
personal experience, I'm excited about what God is getting ready to do. I'm so excited about that. And I just want anybody that's listening to 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 just reach for help if you need it. It's a very unhappy, unhealthy place to be
yes,
when you cannot truly be yourself.
yes.
And that's what people pleasing is about.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
about
That's right.
it's fake. You're being fake, and I don't believe God is pleased with that.
The definition of a people pleaser is a person who has an emotional need to please others, often at the expense of his or her own needs or desires. Putting yourself last. So,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for being with us on this evening on the Heart Matters radio show. This has been an awesome time with my special guest, Tanya Young, who has been sharing with us this evening. And of course, we're out of time, but we could talk about this subject for more hours to come. We thank you for all of your comments. Pastor Tawanda Prelo, thank you for being with us. Dr. Monique Flemings, oh my God, thank you. Sister, Sister Pale is with us tonight. Nelson, you're always here. Thank you for being with us. We thank God for all of the people that have been with us on this evening. Hello, Terry. I see you. God bless you. We thank all of you for being with us this evening. And if you'd like to send me a message, my email is pastordburris@gmail.com, and we will connect you to get you the help you need. If you need prayer, give me a call. If you need somebody to talk to, we are here for you. Tanya, what's your email address?
It's C as in cat, Clark, Clark, 758 at yahoo.com.
Amen. And she'll be glad to direct you and give you some direction and help if you need it. We thank God for that. And you can look her up on Facebook. You can befriend her on Facebook. She's a
Absolutely.
beautiful, beautiful person. And we thank God. Well,
On the
Lord,
inside.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, yes. As we come to the end of our show, we always say that we are at the end of a perfect day. Why do I call it a perfect day? Because everything that God created was perfect. Nothing he created was bad. So even though your day may not have gone exactly how you have wanted it to go, it has been a perfect day. So we thank God for that. So that I pray for you this evening that God will give you a good night's rest. I pray for your faith. Pray favor and increase over your life. I pray that you will come out of people pleasing and learn how to love yourself. I pray that you begin to have that loving relationship with yourself. That's so important. I thank God for each of you. I thank God for how he's taking care of us in this pandemic. Many things are opening up. Many things are saying you don't have to wear the mask, but use common sense, use wisdom sense when it comes to the mask. So we just thank and praise God for you and all that God is doing. I said, call me later. And I'm sorry about that. But we thank God for each and every one of you. This has been an awesome show. I am pumped to go do some more things for myself. And I'm
Yes.
sure that you do as well. So in my closing, I always say that I love you, but God loves you best. And always remember that your heart matters. Peace.